Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Tuesday, the 1st of June. All right. Now, the start of a new month, obviously a new batch of data coming out. Hopefully it can give us some sort of connection and really give us some clear direction. Now, as expected, not a lot of activity in the currencies, right? So the US holiday really slows things down. It's going to be a short week in the run up to the non-farm payrolls. You can expect by Wednesday, Thursday, the market to be talking about the non-farm payrolls very closely, right? So, but what we're seeing is it's quite interesting because, we had this little spike. I got the dollar index here, spike in the dollar index after some inflation data last week. Then it's drifted straight back down. This move in the dollar, like down, it looks real, okay? And what I'm talking about is, I know it's obviously really happening, but the move down in the dollar, it's sort of building up. We've had these, inflation targets sort of spiking. The dollar hasn't been able to sort of really get enough traction to keep going. I know the long weekend, there's a profit taking and a few other things, but I tell you what, it looks like the dollar could head south and we may see a number of these other pairs head to the top side. Now, I've redrawn all my trend lines. You can see these sort of pressure points in the dollar index. The dollar Swiss is a mirror image of the dollar index. Dollar yen, well, I tell you what, it's still hanging in there. It's hanging around that short-term support level. Dollar CAD is trading or consolidating around 120, the figure in a big range, 120, 150, the top side. Euro, it doesn't want to go yet, but I tell you what, there's a bunch of European data and some manufacturing numbers out of the US today, which may give us some inkling. Can we get Euro off the floor? And I know it's sitting at 122. It's not like it's on its knees, but it struggles up here. If we get good Euro data and say some weak ISM manufacturing numbers, we may see a good clean out of the top side up to 123. And I think that'll pretty much do the Euro. But as you can see, sterling trading in a big range. I tell you what, there's a double top up here. Could be an opportunity to get long. Once again, there's some nationwide house prices out today in the UK. And those US numbers, that's all to play for. Now, I've been sort of calling Aussie and Kiwi sort of down. They've been trading heavy, but they have survived. And you know what? If the dollar does start to dribble weak, these things with that push to the downside, we could see a couple hundred points there on the Aussie and Kiwi top side as well, right? So I'm sort of wary about saying what the dollar's going to do. I thought with all this inflation data, and don't forget, it's another week before we get the CPI numbers out of the US. That'll tell us really if those other last month CPI numbers were just a blip on the radar or if they're actually real and it's building, because that will change the guidance from the Fed. But we have to sort of sit back and wait and see. Now, the good news is, right, the US holiday, it's over. The market will really start and connect today as we go through the Europe, North American sessions. We do have some key numbers coming out now. Keep an eye on the building approvals. One of those arbitrary numbers out in Australia. The main release today down under will be the RBA cash rate. Now, no change of rates expected, but we saw the RBNZ. We've seen the Bank of Canada and the Fed have already sort of started talking as well. We could be getting close to the RBA coming out and actually sort of starting to bring forward their forward guidance on what they're going to do with interest rates and managing the economy. So keep a close eye on this. Usually they start to move together. No one likes to get left behind. So the RBA could be an explosive event this afternoon. As I said, you got the nationwide house prices, okay, a big reflection of UK housing. Then we got some Swissy numbers, right? I tell you what, when there's nothing going on, the Swiss numbers will come into play. So keep an eye on that. They have to be pretty outrageous to get the market moving. More importantly, we get German unemployment figures, some manufacturing numbers, some final manufacturing numbers, and some inflation numbers out of Eurozone. And then you come down a little bit further. It's pretty action-packed because you get the GDP numbers out of Canada and the manufacturing numbers here out of the US. So pretty much releases coming out everywhere. And the good thing about this is they're not all massive top tier ones where it gets explosive and liquidity drifts off. These are numbers where liquidity stays in the market and the market just starts to move if there's some level of variance, right? So make sure you keep an eye on this. This is one of those days where you may have a few opportunities around these opportunities. Now, the key to it is focusing on the pairs, right? So I'm just circling the German data there, but focusing on the pairs that have really good, clear technicals. Obviously, Sterling's got a nice top here to the top side. I wouldn't mind having a look at, if especially if those US numbers come out weak. Eurozone. Now, I've got this old long-term resistance line still on the downside here. With that little spike to the top side last week, it's probably worth just raising that to where that high was, so you know exactly what the focus is. 122.60 top side. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying euro could go up, but for all money, it will. And if you look at the Aussie, well, you could probably adjust this support trend line. So you got clear resistance up here at 77.65. Same on the Kiwi. Now, as I said, the Aussie, it's got to be in play, right? We've got the RBA. They could come out with some sort of surprise in their statement. Keep an eye on that. Good chance for traders with Gorilla Trader to use that trade tool to get that position on. Then as we come into Europe, there's Euro and Sterling data. Keep an eye on those two pairs. And then as you come through, obviously, North American session, we've got Canadian GDP. And when those US numbers drop, everything's in play, right? You'll see the manufacturing numbers. They're a good indicator for obviously a massive component of the economy. So that could give us an early lead into the week. Strong numbers, well, the dollar comes back and blows out the moves I'm just sort of talking about. But the non-farms will be the key decider to where the dollar goes next, big time. And we've got to wait, obviously, till Friday for that. Anyway, good time to tune up your charts, get connected. The markets are coming back online. The US Treasuries a little bit higher than where they were yesterday, but once again, that's not a major factor in the markets at the moment. The volatility index, I'll tell you what, it's broken down. There's no one's really expecting any major volatility just at the moment. That'll change as we get closer to those US non-farm payrolls as well. All right, guys, not much else to tell you. Early lead in the Asian market. US equity futures mixed. We do have a bit of a dollar sell-off and the dollar block rallying to start the day. But you know what? It's early days. Check out those ranges, less than 5 or 10 points. All right, guys, have a good one and all the best of luck. Keep an eye on that calendar. Keep an eye on the charts. We're getting closer to normal market activity. Cheerio.